This is the Rebel Scum PorgCast, because Porgs have taken over our lives and our hearts. I see someone shaking their head at me. Who is that?
My name Josh. Josh no like Porgs.
You don't like Porgs?
No, I mean they're all right. Like my thing is they'll serve a function. I think they're gonna be much to do about nothing. Like everyone, is talking about them because they're so cute and all that. And don't get me wrong, they're cute and we'll sell some toys and whatever. But like, man, I don't think they're gonna be in the movie very much at all. Like there's that one apparently that's on the ship with Chewbacca. And that kind of gives me a little concern. I don't really want that Porg rolling around with Chewbacca and Rey. I got to be honest.
I totally want that to be a stowaway Porg. And he becomes like because they have R2-D2, who's kind of more of a dick. Chewbacca, who's the muscle.
Yep.
You don't have the cute BB-8 anymore. You need cuteness on that ship, and that Porg is going to come in and cute it up.
I guess that's fair. I mean, look, yeah, that Porgs. You know what? I want that Porg to be the chosen one. That's what I want.
Great segue. I think that I actually kind of like the caretakers. I think they're cool. They're cool looking.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, we haven't talked about it, but I think they're pretty sweet looking.
Yeah, those ones. I don't think they're gonna serve much of a purpose either. But back to Porgilla. That Porg's name is Porgilla. Being the chosen one. The EW Entertainment Weekly magazine article that came out had all those cool pictures. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. But in it, Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, said that he tried to train Ben Solo, who Luke thought was the quote-unquote chosen one, and then failed, and he felt like it was his fault that he fell to the dark side and blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So I read that. You read that. We all read this, and we're like, okay, so Anakin was the chosen one. Luke then is referred to as the chosen one by Obi-Wan Kenobi in Rebels. Then we've all heard this stuff about Rey being the chosen one. And now Ben Solo is the chosen one. My thing with the chosen one is, this is why I wish the Matrix never happened, because I felt like we didn't have all these chosen one things until remember the Matrix came out? Neo's the chosen one. Then the Phantom Menace, Anakin's the chosen one. Then the Mummy 2. The second Mummy film, they decided that Brendan Fraser was the chosen one.
Right.
The chosen one. So I blame the Matrix for all this. Josh, I know you have an opinion on this, and it might be on the same wavelength as your love for Porgs.
Well, actually, it's different than my love of Porgs in the fact that I think this actually is a big deal. So what's interesting is I was actually formulating in my head how I wanted to talk about this on my channel, and you beat me to it, and so now I probably won't talk about it on my channel because we're going to do it here. But I actually think this is super cool, and it probably hints towards something to do with the Skywalker lineage and like with the problems of the early Jedi, with like Yoda's Jedi. Because remember, when they pick up the boy, Qui-Gon is the one that believes he is the chosen one, okay? And this whole idea of this prophecy that there is the chosen one, Mace Windu, you refer to the prophecy of the chosen one. And Yoda even says, I think it's in Attack of the Clones, he says, a prophecy that misread could have been, right? And I'm fascinated by the fact that all of these Jedi keep having this belief that there's this one Jedi that's going to come and essentially like solve all these problems, balance the Force, and defeat the Sith. And to me, another thing that's super interesting is in Rebels last season, we got that scene with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul. And it is Maul who says to Obi-Wan Kenobi, is it the chosen one? Meaning the person that Obi-Wan is guarding. Is it the chosen one? And Obi-Wan Kenobi says, it is. And then Maul dies with peace. Knowing that the chosen one is out there somehow brings Darth Maul peace. And it also is crazy that Obi-Wan Kenobi thinks that Luke Skywalker is the chosen one. And now maybe Luke thinks that Ben is the chosen one? I mean, I think there's a story there. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally think there's a story there. I like this idea that you had I think on our Revenge of the Fifth episode, I think you bring it up, or maybe it was later on. But you said you had this idea that Snoke is actually the one that created this prophecy of the Chosen One. Like Snoke is the one that kind of fed that to the Jedi. I love that idea that it was a lie, because I also heard that rumor that I've been talking about for a year on this podcast now about Luke telling Rey about this story about the Jedi and how they were told a lie and all this stuff. And the Jedi, the whole foundation of the Jedi were built on lies. I really like that. I also like the idea that Anakin can be the Chosen One, Luke can be the Chosen One, and Ben can be the Chosen One, because they're all descendants of the Chosen One. So in that way, it might be a cheap way to do it, but that that could still work. Like we're going to bring balance to the Force, and it's going to be through this Skywalker blood. So it's these 3, maybe 4 or 5, who knows how many. But Darth Vader got rid of the Sith. Now Luke's job is to get rid of the Jedi, and Ben's job is to bring balance to it all, or something like that. I don't know.
I kind of like that a lot. What do you think about the possibility that Snoke is somehow involved with the creation of Anakin? Have you heard of that?
I think I've heard that. Obviously, the Palpatine thing I've heard of. Actually, you know what? I have heard that, where they said Anakin or Vader or, oh my God, Snoke. Jeez, is Anakin using midichlorians and Shmi to create life, which is totally cool, and that's borrowing off of the Palpatine storyline, which is totally fine with me. And I think that would really make Snoke, for me, a lot more interesting than I don't know what we're going to get from Snoke. I feel like he might not be as interesting as all of our crappy fan theories suggest he might be. He might just be a big bad. But that is a way for making him just a guy who deals in the dark side of the Force, but makes him more important to the overall story, but not more powerful than Palpatine, not more powerful than even Vader, but makes him something other. He's like a crazy witch or wizard, warlock, like that. He'd be that kind of guy. It's like, I've just created this thing, and I'll watch over him until I'm ready to take control. The question is, why didn't he show up until way after?
Yeah, it's funny. I've thought about this a lot, and I don't want to turn this necessarily into a Snoke video, but it's if there's this point in Tarkin where he thinks, the Emperor thinks, that whatever's out there in the unknown regions that's calling to him is actually the source of his power. And so I can see a thing where Snoke is in the deep regions of space, sort of manipulating everything, perhaps even gifting Sheev with some of the abilities that he had. Of course, Sheev has a tendency to the Force and is strong with it, but maybe Snoke was even sort of whispering in his ear and getting kind of him to manipulate. And the whole idea is to conquer this galaxy, to get it ready for his arrival. But going back to the prophecy and getting into the Chosen One, I think that the bottom line here is you have to figure this out. You have to answer this question for yourself as a Star Wars fan. Do you think that the prophecy is real? Then, if you think that the prophecy is real, you have to ask yourself, did Vader fulfill the prophecy? If he did not fulfill the prophecy, and Luke doesn't himself think that he's the Chosen One, and instead thinks that it's Kylo Ren, and he raises Kylo, or at the time Ben Solo, with the idea that he's the Chosen One, in the same way that Anakin was told from a very early stage that he's the Chosen One, right? And they're aware of this whole prophecy thing, which kind of blows up his ego and causes some problems. But essentially, if Luke raised Ben with that belief and then hid the fact that Vader was A, his grandfather, and B, the Chosen One, or at least thought to be the Chosen One before him, could that be an explanation, more of a reason why he turns? Is that the reason that Kylo Ren says, "I will finish what you started"?
Yeah, it's a very good point and a strong possibility, I would say. I wish I saw this movie already.
I know. I can't wait. But I think there's still going to be, to your point, I think there's still going to be plenty of questions about that in particular. Let me ask you this, just because my head's kind of going this way. Do you think that this was an offhanded remark, or is this going to be something they touch on in the narrative? Is it important to the narrative that Luke thought he was the Chosen One?
You know what? I actually was thinking about this this morning when we came up with this topic to talk about. And I thought, this could just be Mark Hamill, because he said that him and Rian Johnson talked a lot about the character of Luke Skywalker, and he also said that he had to come up with a lot of his backstory. A lot of what happened in those 30 years is not touched on whatsoever in the films. And Mark Hamill doesn't know what they're writing in the books. He just knows what Rian Johnson is telling him. So all, these Luke Skywalker stories that are going to be coming to play, either they might have no bearing on anything for Mark Hamill's portrayal of Luke Skywalker. So I was thinking about that, and I think I came to the conclusion in my head that this was Mark Hamill telling himself that, and it might not be what he hinted on, what Luke actually said to Ben at the time. But also I was thinking that maybe Luke thinks this and believes this, and we never hear Luke say any of this, but maybe Ben Solo believes this. Maybe Ben Solo believes he is the chosen one because he is the grandson of the chosen one, and so now he feels like it is his duty to be the chosen one. And when he finds out that his grandfather was Vader, he starts to put these pieces together, and that's when he turns to the dark side, because that's what Vader ultimately did.
That's interesting. You know what just popped into my head too? It kind of recontextualizes him needing to kill his father, because the whole idea of the chosen one is that he didn't have a father, and like this whole father thing is like such an important element of this story and of the hero's journey and cleaving and leaving and all of that. And so like maybe Kylo felt like he needed to cut off Han Solo, not just because he was like an absentee father and represented feelings, but because like, look, the chosen one can't have a father. The chosen one has to only have people around and attached to his bloodline that are from that force, whatever the force was that created Anakin. You know what I mean? It would be, that's the reason. Like it kind of gets me into this whole thing where like, so the Jedi I think the Jedi had dirty laundry. I think that's what it comes down to. And I think like the reason Jedi aren't supposed to have attachments and aren't supposed to make babies is because they didn't want any super strong Jedi coming out. I think that like, what if like the Sith are breeding Jedi warriors somewhere? You know what I mean? Like they're taking the exact opposite approach of the Jedi, where they're like, instead of stopping people that are strong in the Force from procreating, let's get the strongest people we know and make them have Force babies. And maybe that's why Kylo Ren and Rey will be brought before Snoke to make the ultimate Force baby weapon.
Have you been watching 50 Shades of Grey?
No. No, thank God.
Side Akbar, we were at dinner. I hope they don't watch this. We were at dinner with my father-in-law a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And he was like, he's like, we just watched a movie the other night. It was pretty good. It was the 50 Shades of something. He's like, and there was a second one, and we watched it. And I was just like,
oh my.
I turned, and Aaron was like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Stop talking. Just stop talking. We need to move on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was, I couldn't finish my spaghetti. And that was that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, total side Akbar. That's there. Why does Snoke want Rey? Is a question. Do you think Rey has it ever occurred to you that Rey could be the chosen one at all?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, it's an explanation. Like, she's a Force prodigy. So Anakin was a Force prodigy. He was able to do things. He's just so strong in the Force. He did things that were crazy. So it's an explanation for that, right? Because I don't want her to just be a Mary Sue. I want there to be a reason. And so that, in my mind, in my head canon, it makes sense that she's a Force birth. I actually think it would make a ton of sense if she's the actual chosen one, if we're going back to that Matrix thing. And then Kylo just believes that he is the chosen one, right? But he's a Skywalker, so he's still really, really strong. And this could be an interesting way. We touched on this kind of briefly before, but like we have this idea that maybe the next set of trilogies is not about the Skywalker family. And if that is what Rey is, if they're positioning Rey to be the segue into a new version of saga films that will all be about her lineage, whatever it is, I can see that being the thing. And then you have you have these lines that are created from Children of the Force. And wouldn't it be pretty interesting if all these Force sensitive people all sort of tie back into someone that was just created? Now, I think that's a little too head trippy and a little too weird. what do you think about this? The Chosen One is a prequel thing, right? So it's a prequel thing that really informed that story. And whether or not you like the movies, the story in the prequel is really, really sound. So is the Chosen One being brought back into the fold for The Last Jedi simply as a story element that fans are familiar with, something to kind of contextualize this thing a little bit? Like, more than just, oh, I'm Luke Skywalker, I was training my nephew and he went to the dark side. It's like, no, I made the same mistake Obi-Wan made. I put my faith in someone I thought was the chosen one. And this kind of goes back to that whole dogmatic way of thinking. Is it just that he's like, no, I did what they all did, and that's why the Jedi need to end, because they do nothing but lift up these people that inevitably fall. What do you think about that?
I think that's a good point. And what you just brought to my attention now is I'm thinking that line is time for the Jedi to end. And if you take your narrative that you just threw there, you add that together, and Luke says that because he believes exactly what you just said, like they're faulty, blah, blah, blah. But what if Rey is the one, not right away, obviously, but through the course of this film and the next film, that shows Luke that maybe, and maybe our views of the Jedi are wrong, that maybe it's not time for the Jedi to end. Maybe they actually, maybe the galaxy actually needs Jedi. He's completely changed, and maybe they need a new way, maybe of training them, of figuring them out, and the new laws and blah blah blah. But maybe that's actually what it is, and we're all convinced it's going to end gray. We've seen the poems that hint that it's going to go gray, you know, and all the talk of gray, and Ahsoka's gray, and blah 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 blah. But what if that's all for naught? And really, what it is this is a saga now about the galaxy needing Jedi once again. And going back to your point now, to answer your question, right? Rian Johnson is a fan of the prequels. Yeah. I don't know if he even likes them, but he appreciates them for what they are. At least he says that in public. And he also loves Return of the Jedi. Because I think he said he was 10 years old when that movie came out or something like that. Like he was a kid when it came out. So he appreciated it for what it was, which back then was a kid movie. And he said that it was very important to him when he was doing The Last Jedi was to remember the fun and the heart that Star Wars can have and not just be this dark middle chapter. And so I think if he's going to take the chosen one forward, it won't just be for the sake of the prequels. It won't just be the sake of us. It'll be for the story, for the better good of the overall story. As someone who understands and appreciates what's come before him, I think that's what it was. Whereas with The Force Awakens, we saw things just put in there for the sake of being put in there. I think now the nostalgia's out of the way. We're all on board. Now he can go forward and be like, this is what's important to Star Wars.
It's funny. That makes me think, Porgs, obviously. That makes me think of what they were saying, and I think it's even in the same article where he's like, look, the whole game for us when we were writing this was, why is Luke Skywalker on this island? He's not a coward, and yet he has retreated. And so, they needed it to be very heavy. So Kylo Ren's betrayal, and we get that in The Force Awakens. He says one apprentice turned against him, ruined it all. Luke felt responsible. But I think what they're saying is by throwing this chosen one thing in there, it's just extra weight to that. So, when you look at the faith Qui-Gon put into Anakin, when you look at the faith that Obi-Wan put into Anakin, I mean, you were the chosen one. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them, and that betrayal is heartbreaking for Obi-Wan, right? So maybe it's just another level to add that, where it's like, okay, you're Luke Skywalker, you just defeated your father and the Emperor, the Sith are gone. You need to bring the Jedi back to prominence, but the Force, it's still out of balance. I think that's what that's what he'd have to realize is no, the Force is still out of balance, and he probably just doesn't feel confident in his own ability to balance it, and so he's looking for a Messiah type figure. I mean, I think it kind of speaks to humanity a little bit, where we're always sort of displacing that responsibility and being like, no, there will one day be this one person that comes in and does all this. I mean, look, you've got that in Game of Thrones. You've got that in all these different stories where it's like, no, this one person is going to come and we'll recognize him. He'll be the Messiah and he'll save us all. And then when that person that you put that kind of faith in, that Messiah, it would almost be like if Jesus oh God, you're gonna lose subscribers for this. I'm sorry, but it would be almost as if Jesus, right at the very end, was like, nope, just kidding, and then torched everything or something like that. You know what I mean? So is that possibly what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like that story element, they're just adding that extra weight to his disappointment and to the fact that he's crushed kind of on his own.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And if you disagree, you can send all of your complaints to the Denim Nerds P.O. Box.
Yes, please. Tell me why I'm wrong about Domino and Cable, and also tell me why I shouldn't be blasphemous about
Side Akbar, I cannot wait for the comments you get when Riz Ahmed is cast as Cletus Cassidy. That is what I am looking forward to.
You know what's so funny is like, so every time something like this happens and I form what I think is just, like, I don't play the political game, like the whole SJW liberal conservative. I don't play that game. And so whenever something comes out there, I just formulate an opinion. That's what I do. I just formulate an opinion about it based on a number of different factors. And then I speak my opinion. And then everyone tries to twist my opinion into that political game that everyone plays. And honestly, I'm getting really pissed about it. And I'm thinking about doing a video very soon where I'm like, you're an idiot. And then I'll have no subscribers. So look forward to that. The last video on the Denim Nerds. I can't wait.
I can't wait for that one. But I think he would make a great Carnage, actually. So, but yeah, whatever. I mean, he's an actor. I think most actors could probably make a good Carnage if they're good at their job.
Yep.
Back to Porg Nation.
Yes, back to Porgs.
Sorry, I was thinking about Porgs and the cuteness of their.
I know, I know, right?
Yeah. If the Chosen One comes back and it ends up being Kylo Ren is the Chosen One, does he need to be redeemed?
See, that's the whole thing. Is like, I would much prefer it if they think he's the Chosen One and he's just not. Maybe the Chosen One's not even a thing, or it could be Rey. Like, I would hate it if he is the Chosen One, because if he really is the Chosen One and then is redeemed, then it's like, it almost cheapens that journey, because it's like, oh, so we really are just doing the Vader thing again. You know what I mean? Like,
that's how I feel. That's why I'm on the fence with him getting redeemed. I know everyone will attack me now. But at first I was like, he's going to get redeemed. And now when you look at it, you're like, so they're just remaking the prequels? Like, is that what you're doing right now? Like, you're telling me that because you don't consider the prequels good, we now have to sit through 3 movies that are just the prequels.
That's the prequels but retouched, right. And I don't want that at all. And I think it cheapens Vader's thing, and it would make Kylo just totally watered down. I think what would be interesting, they need to carve out their own path. I think that Disney... Man, like, okay, Disney has a ton of really smart people there, and they are actively trying to figure out what the future of this franchise is going to be. I promise you, there are people working on this problem every single day that are way smarter than me or James. But, well, at least me. But the thing is...
yeah, me too.
Well, to be serious, though, that's a big problem, right? And I think wrapped up in that is like the cyclical nature of Star Wars and storytelling in general. So you have this thing where it's like, look, there probably are no original stories, there probably are no original ideas, but you have to find new interesting ways to tell these stories. If this main bad guy character that's also a Skywalker that worships Vader does all these horrible things and then just is redeemed, it's just so not compelling. What I would much prefer is if he, like, slaughters Snoke and takes over as, like... Because here's the thing, dude. Like, the Emperor was still a politician. He was a Sith Lord, maybe the greatest Sith Lord ever, but that's not what he was to the Empire. He was the Emperor, which superseded this whole Sith Lord thing. We've never had a Sith Lord. Like, what I could see with Kylo is if he like, takes out Snoke and becomes the leader, it's a Sith Empire. Or it's a Ren Empire. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would be more of like the Pope than the King. You know what I mean? And he would have we'd have a crazy, I would love to see episode 10, 11, and 12 be set in the universe or in the galaxy that Emperor Kylo Ren, or, you know what I mean? Like, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren is in charge and things are different. You know what I mean? They are dark. That would be satisfying.
If that happened, that moment, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think it would be even cooler now if Palps, good old Sheev, was responsible for Anakin's birth. And while he's finding all these things from the unknown regions, telling him bad things are coming and all that stuff and the source of his power, he plants a seed in Shmi to grow his own children to take over for him secretly in the balance. The thing that really, I guess, kind of negates that, though, is the way the comics have been going, especially mostly the comics. I think some books also mentioned, well, Lords of Sith, you see it in there, how Palpatine is ready to kill Vader. But I guess that would just prove how evil Sheev actually is, that he will kill his own pseudo-son.
Oh, yeah. I think he would kill him in a heartbeat. I think that, I mean, if you look at even in Jedi, in Return of the Jedi, he was like, kill your father and take his place. He was all about that noise. You know what I mean? And I think that that's like inherent to the Sith is like, look, they don't suffer weakness. Like if you're not strong enough, like you're gonna die. The only caveat to that is him sort of roboticizing Vader in general. Like the thing that confuses me is why did he even go to Mustafar and help Vader? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem like a Sith thing at all. It's kind of an interesting little, in my opinion.
Probably at that point, it was supposed to be his son, and Lucas was like, well, he'd go back for his son. I think that's probably where his headspace was on that one. Yeah, or also, they need him to get into the armor because he wears them in the next 3 movies. Yeah,
essentially, like, yeah, that's the thing. They're reverse engineering 3 other movies, right? So, like, you have to get there, right? And so at some point, you have to suspend your disbelief. But as far as the Sith are concerned, like, in Lords of the Sith, it's really... part of the thing that makes that book beautiful is in every single scene between Sheev and Vader, you're like, oh my God, like, are they going to fight? Like, in every single one. And you almost know it's not going to happen. But you can get Vader's feelings. He's like, dude, this fucking guy. This freaking guy. You know what I mean? Like,
there's tension.
Yeah, there's tension, exactly. And the whole Sith thing is like, look, I have the power, you worship the power. The moment that's out of balance, one of us has to die.
Yep.
That's it.
That's how it is. And then he tries to get his son to kill him.
Yep.
Luke killing Vader. Because Luke is the chosen one that Obi-Wan Kenobi thinks is the chosen one. And Pablo Hidalgo said, no, Obi-Wan Kenobi was wrong. Which, looking back now after what we just read in EW, you kind of get the sense that maybe the galaxy is still waiting for the chosen one. It could have very well have been Vader, but the galaxy is still waiting for the chosen one. And at that point, Obi-Wan would not suspect it to be Vader because Anakin is now Vader and he's a Sith, and that's not how you bring balance to the Force, even though he did 2 Jedi, 2 Sith, and then he kills the Sith.
Right.
Which then creates unbalance in the galaxy, which is... Exactly,
right. That's kind of the thing, right? Is like, maybe the prophecies from the Wills and the whole idea is here, it's not too... it's like Yoda said, it was misinterpreted. It's not about destroying one side to bring balance. That's not balance. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's about having equal or having darkness and light inside of us. It reminds me of that episode in Clone Wars where Yoda is with the shaman of the Wills that Pablo confirmed that, but we won't do that. But where he has to fight the evil Yoda, and he's like, look, there's something in there that says, and Yoda literally says, like, no, I have to accept that you're real. The darkness inside of me is real. I can't just ignore you, but I can have power over you. And so, like, that, maybe that's it. Like, being dark and being light, maybe that's the path Kylo's on. Like, maybe Kylo's the great Jedi at the end of this whole thing. And he's not necessarily redeemed, and he's still evil, and he still does these evil things, but he also maybe has done some good and maybe appreciates the light side. That's what Snoke's about, right? Snoke was like, look, it's not just you, it's from what you're made of, the dark and the light. You know what I mean? So, interesting.
Which that's also played up on the teaser trailer for The Last Jedi that we saw at Celebration, where he says, what do you see? And she goes, the light and then the darkness. She says, darkness and light. That's what she sees. So they're playing on both sides of the coin now. And we're going to see, we might see some of the coolest Jedi tricks we've ever seen.
Hey, look, if that's the end game, then whatever story path they need to take to get there, I'm in. Let's go.
Do you think Luke will ignite his lightsaber in Episode 8?
100%. 100%. Here's the thing. If Luke Skywalker does not ignite the green lightsaber, I'll go even further than that. If Luke Skywalker does not take that green lightsaber and mess some people up, I need some of that movie, and I'm gonna do something. I don't know what it is. It's gonna be dramatic, and I might be done with YouTube, and I might be done with many things. I'll be on Octu. I'll be on Octu hanging out with nun lizard ladies, being like, "Yeah, I can't believe Luke didn't do that. I'm just chilling here now."
Did you hear what Ryan Johnson said their voices sound like?
I can't remember the article. I forget. Yeah.
Something
they're
Scottish.
Yeah, they're Scottish.
Yeah, it was like
they're going to talk
Scottish.
like this, but they're all female too, right? So they're
all
talk
female,
like this,
which is very Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life finds.
Did you watch my video where I was talking about that? I totally crap on the Porgs a little bit.
The one where you're like, you don't like. You're like, I'm not going to talk about the pictures. I'm going to talk about the article.
Yes. That
I watched that video. Yeah, I did watch that one.
So there's, I forget where I was going with this. Damn it.
They're Scottish voices.
Oh, yeah, no, the female thing. So I was like, remember that sea monster that everybody's talking about? What if, he's the one male or whatever? You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool. Like the sea monster. Because, look, species in the wild, the males are usually, more extravagant. They're bigger. They have to attract a mate or whatever. So, and they've been there for thousands of years. God, I just can't wait to watch this movie. I need to know what the hell's going on.
Do you think we'll learn more about them or the Porgs throughout the course of the film?
Well, since Snoke is a Porg, we'll probably get more Porgs in Episode 9. But yeah, we better get more of these caretakers. They seem awesome, and I love how they said in the article they're aware of Luke Skywalker being there. They tolerate him, but they don't like him.
They tolerate him. That's awesome.
That sounds
cool.
Know
what makes me really depressed is. And I wrote this in the Porg article that I wrote for the Den of Nerds. That Star Wars,
which is up. Go check that out on
the Star Wars is afraid to have fun now. In terms of when I was a kid, I got Droids, the cartoon, Ewoks cartoon, R2D2 read-alongs. I mean, we're getting Chewie and the Porgs, but because everything has to be canon and official and all has to tie together, we're not going to get a Caretaker's cartoon or a Porgs, which I would watch Caretaker and Porgs on an island. Animated 2D style. Anthony Daniels is the only voice in it.
Well, the thing is, that's just George. That's just George. George had no disillusions with what Star Wars was. It's for 12-year-olds, and they told him not even to say that at Celebration, which I find awesome. But he knew exactly what was what, and he was not afraid to have fun himself. It's for kids, and it's for teaching. This is why the gray thing is such a point of contention among people at Lucasfilm, because that's not in the nature of Star Wars. Star Wars is white hat, black hat. You either are on the path of peace and helpfulness and your fellow man and building people up, or you're on the path of oblivion. That's the lesson Lucas wanted to leave behind. He was like, it's binary. It's not. There is no gray. It's you walk that line, you're evil.
Yep, exactly. And that's why I think Kylo Ren will end up in between them. Like a Revan type character.
Yeah, I mean, we need that though. I think we need that, but we need him not to be the hero. It's okay for him to be gray and maybe even redeemed in some regard, but do not make him this forced ghost miracle. I saved everything. I want to look into my son's eyes character. Don't do it. Just let him be Kylo Ren. I personally want a reverse Ahsoka Tano, where everyone was like, oh man, she's so bratty and weak and horrible, and then they've grown to really respect her. The same thing happened with Kylo. They're like, oh man, he's weak, man. He gets beat by Rey, man. Finn beats him, man. This dude's so weak. And I want to be able to shove in their faces, by Episode 9, that he's a god and he's just wrecking. That would be, for me, very
He was also shot by a super strong bowcaster that they went out of their way to show you how powerful that thing was. Stormtroopers were flying when they got hit.
He was dying. He was literally dying, and he had it says in the novelization, he's weaker than he's ever been because of killing his father. It had the reverse effect than he thought. You know what I mean? He thought it was going to make him stronger. It made him kind of weak. So, there you go, people.
Very, very intriguing wording there. Okay, let's wrap this thing up. Final thoughts on The Chosen One. Go for it.
Final thoughts on the Chosen One. The Chosen One was a prophecy started by Snoke because he's a Force vampire and he wanted to trick the Jedi into taking their strongest person and elevating them so it'd be easy for him to find them and siphon off their Force.
Can't argue with that. Where can everybody find you at?
Yes, you can find me at the Den of Nerds. Go to thedenofnerds.com. Check James's article out about the Porgs and comment on the article on the website. It's always cool when people comment on the website. It's good for us. So tell him that he's wrong about his article. And go subscribe to us on YouTube. We talk about Star Wars on the channel. We talk about Marvel. Hashtag not my cable. Hashtag not my domino. All the drama that you kids like to talk about, we talk about it on the Den of Nerds.
My article is about how Porgs are not the new Ewoks. They are not the new Ewoks. And they don't want them to be the new Ewoks. You can follow me at Petsafina on everything and watch me all the time here on the Rebel Scum podcast. Episode 54 goes up, I believe, Saturday night. Brock's been very busy with work. He's been double shifting it this week. So tomorrow, Saturday, August the 12th, sometime late at night, might be the 13th by the time it gets up. That is when you can watch episode 54. Thanks a lot, Josh, for coming on here.
Thank you.
And may the force of others be with you.
Always.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.